Good afternoon. Good afternoon, all of you. Distinguished participants.
Venkata Babu sir, sorry for interrupting. Venkata Babu sir, am I audible?
Sir.
Sir, wait for 2 minutes, sir.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
First announce, then you start. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Very good afternoon, participants.
Yeah, audible, sir. Good afternoon, sir.
Uh, Good afternoon, participants. Today, there is a small information regarding online test and feedback filling. So, today is our last day for our ATL FDP, and today we have a session from 2 to 3:30, and another session from 3:30 to 5. So, then we can start our validity function continuously by 5 p.m. So after the second session, all are requested to please stay tuned. We can start our validity by 5. So after that, we have online feedback and online test. And one important thing, by 6 p.m. sharply, uh, online test will be enabled in your ATL login. So everyone are requested to participate a test through ATL login only. So no any other mode of test should be conducted. So you can log in your ATL portal and start to attend the test through ATL portal only by 6 p.m. Start from 6 p.m. and test should be completed by today itself. Means by 11:50, maximum 11:50 p.m. So everyone requested to complete your test by 11:50 p.m. by today itself. So thereafter the link will be disabled automatically. Yes, and all are requested to fill feedback in online ATL website portal. So daily we are collecting Google form that is uh, for resource persons, and for ATL portal you need to log in ATL portal and fill the feedback form. Yes. So that Atal portal login is for what? Overall sessions. That Atal portal login feedback filling is for overall session. So these are the two instructions. So everyone need to actively participate. So thank you. Now I hand over the session to Mr. Babu to continue.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Distinguished participants, respected faculty, and honored guests, a very good afternoon to all. It is my pleasure to welcome you to the last day of the AICT Atal Faculty Development Program on Cybersecurity and Applications, organized by Scope VIT-AP University. We are fortunate to have with us today accomplished experts who will share their expertise and unique perspectives during this session. Let us begin by introducing our esteemed speaker, uh, Mr. Samrath Bhaskar Bhat. Mr. Samrath Bhaskar Bhat is the Technical Director at Reverse Engineering Infosec with over 6 years of experience in information security, application security, penetration testing, and vulnerability assessment. He is a GIAC certified web application defender, certified ethical hacker, CEH V6, and SANS lethal forensicator coin holder with extensive expertise in web application defense, malware analysis, and network penetration testing. He has audited 50 plus business critical web applications across banking, finance, insurance, trading, and e-commerce sectors, and has conducted security audits for payment gateways. His skills span application level vulnerability analysis, secure code review, SOC implementation, and cyber forensics. Recognized as one of the youngest ethical hackers in India, Mr. Bhatt has served as a court-appointed commissioner in cyber forensic cases, been part of the National Security Database (NSD) selection process, and worked as a cyber security consultant to the Indian Air Force and Chhattisgarh Police Department. He also held the role of President Karnataka Unit of Indian Cyber Army. Uh, Sir, Mr. Samrath Bhaskar Bhat, sir, over to you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Am I audible?
Audible, sir.
I'm just sharing my screen.
Sir, please.
Yes, hope my screen is visible and I'm audible.
Yes, sir. Visible and audible, sir.
Thank you. Okay. So good afternoon to all. So today we'll be discussing on the topic of basically on the web vulnerabilities and what kind of web vulnerabilities and how do we find basically web vulnerabilities. In short, this topic we can say it is a basically in industry this is done not only for web application, it is done for entirely for all kind of IT assets. When I say IT assets, we'll discuss on what are IT assets. So we need to know what is the exact domain which we call this one. This actual domain, it may be web vulnerabilities or API or mobile, anything. It usually comes under the domain called vulnerability assessment and penetration testing. Both have a thin line of difference on what exactly is it. I hope the other speakers would have covered this. So let me cover on web vulnerabilities specifically. So before understanding web vulnerabilities, we'll look into the methodology, standards, what exactly it is. And we'll also look into a basic demonstration also, how it can be done. So can anyone tell me the difference between vulnerability assessment and penetration testing? You can either unmute yourself or even enter it in the chat section so that I can look into it. Let's keep the session more interactive so that the demonstration which I'll be showing will be crystal clear. So that if you have any doubt at any point of time, please don't hesitate to ask. You can just raise your hands or enter it in the comment section. So what is the difference between vulnerability assessment and penetration testing? Can anyone tell me the difference? or before that, much more simple question is what exactly do we mean by vulnerabilities? How do we say that a web or any website is having vulnerabilities? Does any website or all the websites do they have vulnerabilities by default? How do we answer this question?
Sir,
Do
some they posted in comment box, sir, chat box.
yes, I'm just checking out, sir. Yes. So, how do we believe that vulnerability exists in any website? You take any random website, it may be a local website or a standard website. How do we say that a website has a vulnerability? You take random website, it may be your college website, a university website, or a company which is visiting your college or your campus, any kind of thing, or it may be even a government website or anything. How do we say that a website has vulnerabilities? Is it really true? First question, as engineers, as belonging to the science fraternity, we need to ask us: is something vulnerability really real, or is it just a hyped word, or is it only theoretically possible? How do we answer this question? Are websites really vulnerable? Yes, some of you are answering what is the difference between vulnerability and pen testing. But before that, the fundamental question which I am trying to address is every website or all the websites, do they have vulnerability? First, let's answer this question. How do we say that all the websites have vulnerabilities? How do we answer this question? Because this will be the very basic question tomorrow, even in turn, if you're asking your students might come up with the very first question is, sir, how do we believe that a website is having vulnerabilities or it can be hacked? All sites are vulnerable. Yes. How do we say that? What is the proof? Some of you are saying that they do regular patching. Patching happens for upgradation also. So how do we say that vulnerabilities exist in any website?
Sir, it should
Sir,
be
we have to,
security.
sorry.
It should be security tested, sir. Before hosting a website,
It should be security tested. Without security testing also, then are there possibilities to say that whether it has a vulnerabilities?
definitely, sir.
How do we
Even a
say that?
single line, if any code is changed, it has to be through the SVQC or some testing has to be done, complete security testing. Then only
Yeah.
it has to be hosted.
After
Otherwise,
testing, okay, I'm telling, okay, once testing is done, yes. But without testing, can we say it out?
Sir, sorry to
sir,
interrupt.
normally, actually, I am from government side. All the government sites, because so
Yes,
many
sir.
hackings are taking place. So we
Again, that is how do we believe that, sir? Because government sites also will not disclose it. We can't.
no,
They'll not tell the
it is
methods.
hacked actually. You're right actually. Mighty websites are hacked. You're right actually.
Hmm.
That's why, sir, before hosting, we are telling the department it
Hmm.
has to be completely tested, security testing. They have to
Security.
get the certificate. Then only we will host in the data center. Something like
Sir,
that.
one thing, the URL HTTPS connection.
Hmm.
The second one is a certificate, CA.
Yes.
Whether they are maintained the verified certificate agency in between intermediary services.
Right, sir.
Through that,
Those are one of the methods. Again, that is also is not a security. But how exactly can we believe? I am asking is really vulnerability something real or is it a myth? Or is it only some category of websites undergo vulnerabilities? First is that question. So always all of you, whatever you have answered is definitely right answers. Nothing denying on that. But to understand and to make it more simple,
Okay.
first let's see. When we say every website, it is the end of the day another product. Any IT product today in the globalization era, that is on 2025, it is just like a human body. When I say human body, is there any human body which is free of diseases? Or can there be any human body which is free of diseases? It's not possible. Similar way, every website will have one or the other vulnerabilities. How do we do that, or how do we verify it out? Because the very first thing is, in cybersecurity, there is a famous proverb saying that people may or may not believe whatever we say, but people do believe whatever we demonstrate. So if we say that there is vulnerability, no government website is also gonna definitely entertain. But if we demonstrate it out, yes, they will take it seriously. So, how do we demonstrate, or how do we see that? You can go to a source called cvedetails.com. This is not with respect to only web, I'm telling with respect to any IT product. Now, this is a platform which we consider as a source for any kind of vulnerabilities. For example, you take any product in the world. Here, this website is contributed by research engineers, academicians, students, scientists, law enforcement agencies, many people. Anybody can contribute. Even we are anybody, any layman also can contribute it out. So any product, it may be a multinational company product, or it may be a startups buddy project. Any product, when it is hosted there, these people will already hack into it and give the step-by-step procedure of reporting. Now, for example, here at the left-hand side corner, you can go to the column called products. So if you go to this column called products and click on it, you'll get a search bar. Enter any product which you're using in your daily life. For example, let me use Windows 11 and click on search. So that is on today's date, that is on September 6th, 2025. Windows 11 has 583 vulnerabilities, which means 583 vulnerabilities. That is what they are claiming. Now, anyone can create a web page, anyone can put information. Again, how do we believe on it? We are all engineers, especially from science background. So we need to always demonstrate it and see it out. So just click on this number. Straight away, you'll get the papers with the ID also of each vulnerability called CVE ID. In that paper, it will show even the author and the replication or reproducing procedure completely. So this is the proof to say that yes, every website, every IT product is vulnerable. It is an undisputed or non-negotiable statement itself. Every product by default will have it out. Even any kind of developer, any super developer also develops it out. It will be having vulnerabilities, just like our human body. There will be vulnerabilities by default. Now coming to the main part is, every product when it has vulnerabilities, then does that mean every vulnerabilities can it be hacked? Just like, since all the bodies have diseases, is all the diseases which will lead to death? The same question it is. So here then we need to understand the categorization. All the vulnerabilities whichever is being found is categorized into 4 types with the scoring system. You can see here in the table from 0 to 9. Please let me know if I'm not audible or if my screen is not visible in between any time. You can just unmute yourself or even enter it in the comment section. So coming to the vulnerability classification, from 0 to 9, it is categorized into low, medium, high, and critical. Now, what do we mean by low? From 0 to 3, it is considered as low. What do we mean by that is based on the severity and impact. What do we mean by impact is, for example, if a doctor, cyber security person or a web security person's job role is just like a doctor's job role. What will be the doctor's job? Can anyone tell me?
Treatment.
A doctor will diagnose basically a human body and tell the health status of the human body. Similar way, even a web security person will diagnose first a product. It may be a website, it may be API or anything hosted on cloud also. So they will come out with the vulnerabilities and then they will categorize. Now, for example, if a doctor diagnoses a patient with common cold, the doctor's suggestion would be very simple. You can tolerate it. It's not a life-threatening disease or disorder, so you can tolerate it out. Now, such vulnerabilities exist even in website. Those vulnerabilities are called low vulnerabilities, which is from 0 to 3 as shown in the screen with a parrot green color. Now, if the same doctor diagnoses a patient with cancer, what will be the doctor's suggestion? The doctor's suggestion will be, it's a life-threatening one. You have to admit to hospital immediately. Chemotherapy has to be started immediately. So, similar way, such vulnerabilities are also there, which can be exploited, which can be a compromisable one. Such vulnerabilities are known as critical, which is in red color. You can see a 9+. So, every vulnerabilities will have a CVE ID, and the CVE ID will be again having a severity score, which falls under low, medium, high, or critical. So this is the concept of actually vulnerabilities. So now coming to our actual topic, vulnerability assessment and penetration testing. The difference between this is a product or a website may have thousands of vulnerabilities, but all the vulnerabilities cannot be exploited and cannot be compromised. There will be some vulnerabilities which can be compromised. That is known as penetration testing. Those vulnerabilities, whether it is compromisable one or not, it has to be penetration tested. So if you can say, this vulnerability assessment can be an automated process, penetration testing can be a manual process. So usually vulnerability assessment is done through automated tools like Nessus or any vulnerability scanners. Penetration testing will be done by the security experts. Now, how they will do, what are the other tools, everything, we'll look into it. So we need to, since we say this as completely a science. Why do we say it as in science? Because it has to be with the results are definite. Anyone does the security testing, the result will be whether it has vulnerability or not. Precisely. So that's why we call it as a science. Since it is a science, it should have a definite approach, definite principle, definite methodology, definite tools. So we have to just see what are the tools, what are the methodology observed. So when we come into security, again, it may be web. Web can be deployed into multiple platforms. It can be inside either it can be hosted on internet, or it can be locally hosted in a network, or it can be in a cloud, or it can be even in a mobile also. So when we say mobile, we call it as mobile app, here web app, but again the concept will be similar. So we need to understand all the dimension when we are seeing on the vulnerabilities and securities of web. So first thing is on web security. When we say on web security, it's purely which is hosted on a hosting server. It may be Hostinger or it may be GoDaddy, anywhere like that. So which is accessible to entire people, whoever knows the DNS, domain name system. That is the website URL. So such kind of websites are prone to attacks like injection attack, cross-site scripting attacks. What are these kind of, which means anybody as a normal user also can be an hacker, because we cannot differentiate between who is a genuine user and who is the actual hacker. So that is the vulnerabilities list here, which is given it out, which is hosted on a website. Now similarly, if it is hosted on a different platform, coming to mobile, it may be Android, iOS, again Windows, anything. So here these are the vulnerabilities, that is insecure data storage, client side injection. Due to the platform, again the website will be vulnerable. Similar way, if it is not hosted anywhere, but it is hosted on an infrastructure, that is locally. Most of the times in companies or even in your institutions also, you might come across certain applications for knowledge transfer or knowledge management, anything, you will have it only inside your institution, which will be deployed in a network. It will be a it will be an application itself. So now there also you can do DOS attacks, you can do network scan, you can do database auditing, MITM attacks, DNS attacks, plenty of attacks there. Next is again similar way, security code. Now whether your code itself has a vulnerability, because today website can be written in multiple languages. So every language has its own advantage as well as disadvantage, efficiencies and inefficiencies. So you'll have to look into it. It may be certificates, it may be cryptography, multiple things. So this is another thing which has to be not ignored. That is where the application is being hosted, either web, mobile, network, or cloud. Now, once platform is known, as per the platform, we'll have to look into the security standards, because everybody can tell anything as vulnerability. It is just like, just imagine every doctor says one or the other diseases as severe disease. Like if you give the autonomy to doctors, every doctor in a local clinic doctor will tell COVID is as serious as cancer. So then the patients will be completely confused. Should I address what kind of vulnerabilities first? Just imagine another pandemic has occurred. If there are multiple diseases, just like COVID, another 2 to 3 diseases, and we have a capability of only developing one vaccine. So which is that we have to look into it. That will be the priority. Same way comes here for CEO. Every now and then the board, the CEO or CTO, he'll be getting a report from the security testers that these are 150 vulnerabilities. In this critical, low, medium, high is certain number. Then the CTO will have a clarity on which vulnerabilities has to be fixed one, because some vulnerabilities can never be fixed. So how do we categorize those vulnerabilities? So we have global standards. Now, what are those global standards? The very first one among is OWASP, OWASP, which we call specially for web. It started with web actually, then moved to mobile, then moved to API. Now it has even for LLM also. So OWASP means Open Web Application Security Program. So this is known as OWASP. This is one standard checklist. So now what do you mean by checklist? Let me show you. So this will be the basically the OWASP standard checklist. So what do you mean by this now? In this, what and all categories are there? If you see below, there are 12 categories which is listed out here. For example, the first one is known as information gathering. So now, if anyone is doing a security testing on a web application, first they should know under which standards which they are doing it out. So if they pick up OWASP, now OWASP checklist will be here. Based on this, these all the techniques has to be followed. For example, first one is known as information gathering. In information gathering, there are 10 things. Conduct search engine discovery, reconnaissance for information leakage, and achieve this objective. For this, what is the tool? There are open source tools as well as license based tools. So, which may be Google Hacking Database, Shodan is a website, Recon NG is a tool. So, does it come under OWASP top 10? No. So, which means lower severity. So, as per this, they need to keep on doing it out. After information gathering is done, then comes configuration and deploy management testing. This will be completely seen. Post this, identity management testing. How do you identify the users? Test role definition, registration process, is it being done? These are all the things even a developer also has to look into it. Today, the unfortunate thing is developers develop as per their own way just to serve the purpose. You can build a building in any way just to make sure that it stands. But will it be secure? No. So if there are certain principles involved, then only it will be secure. So if you see here, like this, each and everything, 1 to 12, completely listing is done. Every method is also listed. I'll show you even a sample report. We'll actually even test an application as well. Hope if you have any doubt, you can ask me. So this was on OWASP. Similar way, we have another one called SANS. which is another one. So usually depending on this, we have to take a consent from the clients, basically, who owns a web application, on which standards you need to do. Certain times they will not know, even none of them will not even understand what is standards. If they give that autonomy, then the first preference will always be OWASP, then SANS, then another one called OSSTMM, that is Open Source Security Testing Methodology Manual. Apart from this, if you have any other way of testing which is not listed among these standards, you can include that also, but post this, which we call it as manual and customized penetration testing. Some of you mentioned how can we download this OWASP file. I'll be sharing it out, not an issue. It's in the website as well. You can go to Google and enter OWASP test guide for web application. If you just mention OWASP, OWASP has for 4 standards: OWASP web, OWASP mobile, in mobile again Android and iOS, then again API, then the last one is the latest one, which is OWASP LLM. So you'll have to see which one you require. So I'll be sharing it to you, which I showed you was for web. So once the standards is done, then comes the approach, because without standards, if we take up our approach, there will be no credibility. Everyone will start asking, why did you pick up this approach? What made you pick up this approach? How efficient is this approach? So to answer all of this question, we should know that there are globally accepted standards. So as per that, we need to do it out. So what are those approach? In approach, always the first thing you need to understand is there can be 2 ways of doing it. One is known as destructive and one more is known as non-destructive. Can anyone tell me what is the difference between destructive penetration testing and non-destructive penetration testing? You can unmute yourself or even mention it in the chat section. Yes, as one of you mentioned, no harm in non-destructive testing, because certain websites will be live. For example, IRCTC or any Indigo website. So if you are going to do penetration testing and if you are finding vulnerabilities, it can harm the regular process also. So first thing is we need to make sure that which way are we doing. Some of them will be open to it because they want to see how it at what level it can harm. Some of them will be very worried, so you have to see non-destructive. So if it is non-destructive, we'll take some precautions. For example, only a certain time slots, or we will take a mirroring of that website. So there are multiple ways to do it out also. So first is destructive or non-destructive. Post that, we'll be doing information gathering using these many tools, which includes footprinting and enumeration. For example, DNS search, Google hacking database, all of this, whichever is mentioned over the screen. Once this is done, then comes vulnerability assessment, again as per the OWASP standards itself, which is based on configuration, which is based on services, authentication, session management, all of this. First, all these is done. This is automated process, which is done through automated tools like Nessus or plenty of tools, which is given out here. Then comes now penetration testing. Now, once the tool will tell you there are so many number of vulnerabilities, now we need to apply certain tools and methods to analyze what kind of vulnerabilities does it exist. Now, for example, these are at the left hand side, you can see these are all the tools which is used for basically penetration testing, which can be automated as well as manual. Before it was only manual, now it is even to some extent it is automated as well. So the most standard tool which we use is known as Burp Suite and Nessus, which is very common. Then comes manual testing methods. These are all the methods where we have to look into the code and how it responds. For every kind of input, what kind of output will the code give? Based on that, these are all the manual testing attacks which we need to perform it out. So once we perform it out, we will get to know whether the web application is vulnerable and whether it is exploitable or not. So in one sense, if you have to say, all the web applications are definitely vulnerable. So we have to see how many of those vulnerable or vulnerabilities can be exploited and compromised. That is the catchy word, exploited and compromised. Among that, how much is critical and how much is under below critical category. So if it is in critical category, it is a mandatory thing that it has to be fixed by default. So apart from these standards, what else can be seen? There are again multiple ways, multiple platforms which will keep on updating, because standards will not be updating every day, every now and then. So you can go to, for example, the major one is for government sites or any other sites. We can go to a website called Certain. Certain is our national nodal agency, or the only nodal agency in India, which is the government body, where it keeps on updating based on the CVE vulnerabilities. For example, if you see, the latest update was on September 4th. CERT is nothing but Computer Emergency Response Team. It's a global concept, but applied in every countries. In India, it is under Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology. So it's a nodal body. So here CERT, basically it has a vulnerability which is disclosed on September 4th. For example, you have to just click on that vulnerability note and see what is that vulnerability. So they have reported that a severity is high, and also they have given the CVE ID 20250203, which means it's already exploited one. Is it related to which one? It is related to the product called Drupal. Now every website today, most of the websites are using Drupal. So in Drupal again, API related, page related, version related, authenticator, every list is given, and also solutions are given. Now after solutions, what else has to be done? That is also given. Now how do they come up with this? Because many people would have been there, would have exploited and would have reported to Certain as well, based on that itself. So this is the actual process of vulnerability assessment and penetration testing. If you have any doubts before going into the demo, please let me know so that I can address you, or based on the topic which I covered now. You can either unmute yourself and ask me, or you can enter it in the chat section as well. Any doubts? No doubts? Can we continue then? Great. So let's move into the demonstration. First, let us see how exactly a vulnerability can be exploited. So to do that, first thing is we need to understand that it is just like cutting an apple. To cut an apple, first thing is we need to have an apple, have a knife, as well as the skill set to cut it out. So here, first we need to understand how actually hacking happens. Now, for example, imagine I have a setup. I'll not even tell what it is. Is it a website or a network or an operating system, whatever? This is a setup called Sunset. Now, there is a process called bug bounty or CTF in industry. CTF means capture the flag or bug bounties. I think most of you are aware of it. Those who are not aware, just imagine what is a bug bounty. Bug bounty is nothing but, for example, now company people, they get to know that every hackers are everywhere. Their internal team also does security testing. Apart from that, how to be more secure, because no one can be 100% sure. So what these every MNCs which is visiting your campus or off campus, what they do, they run a program called bug bounty. So they invite anybody and everybody, please come and hack it. They invite and they ask them, hack our products. So if you are able to hack it out, we will pay you money. So where it serves the purpose of a hacker also, and it serves security also. So that is why it's known as bug bounty. For every bug they pay money bounty. So that's known as bug bounty program. So just imagine now one of the company. So this is a product called Sunset. So I need to hack into it. So in order to hack into it, how do I do it out? So I have only one idea is it is deployed in my network. Just imagine there are 100 systems of in a company, and I am one among them. So as an internal person, how can I hack the actual server? Just imagine this is a server. So here there is my system, that is Kali Linux. Can you see the two screens? One is Kali Linux and Sunset. You can see here a small screens here. Yeah. So basically this Kali Linux is particularly my system. Sunset is here. Since it is in the same network, now let's look into it, how it can be hacked into it. So the universal methodology for any hacking is basically, it follows on 4 steps. If I have to say very simple way, what are those 4 ways? The very first way is information gathering. Now, when we say information gathering, what is the information which has to be gathered? Can anyone tell me regarding a website or regarding any IT asset? If you have to hack anything, you have to gather information, but there should be primary information which you have to gather. For example, if you have to attack a person, sorry to give you this kind of example, but I think this is apt one. If anyone wants, if a terrorist is going to attack any person, the very first thing the terrorist will require to accumulate is the name, photograph of that person. Similar way, here when you are going to hack anything, it may be network, system, mobile, anything, what is the primary information which has to be gathered? Can anyone tell me? Weakness is later. First, whether the person will die through a bomb or a gun, that is the weakness. But first thing is you have to identify the person. So information gathering involves what kind of information which we need to gather? Can anyone tell me? What is the information required which has to be gathered? IP address. Okay, then is it only IP address? Because IP address will keep on changing. Then what to do? It is just like home address. Our home address may change. Then the attacker, what will he do? He requires photograph. Credentials of what? Credentials cannot be required. I'm telling for credentials are not there for everything. So always when we say on information gathering, we need to know this word, that is FQDM. Can anyone tell me what is FQDM? Probably in your thesis you might have come across this term. What is FQDM? Where have you come across this and what is this? Frequency? No, not at all. Yes, someone mentioned fully qualified domain name. Right. So what do we mean by fully qualified domain name? It includes a combination of 3 things: IP, plus protocol, plus port. The combination of these 3 things, we can consider it as fully qualified domain name. For every website, these are the 3 things which has to be there. It has to have an IP address which will be converted into DNS. Then again, protocol, HTTP, HTTPS. Similar way, there should be a port number, port 80 or port 443. So this is the mandatory thing which any hacker will come across. So if I am one among the 100 systems, to identify the server system, first thing is I have to identify what is the IP, which protocol the server runs on, and under which port can I access it. So this will be the information gathering. Post information gathering, once I get to know which is the IP and which is the protocol, I can directly go to CVE details or certain website and check for the latest vulnerabilities which is found, which we call it as vulnerability analysis. This is nothing but the weakness of the person. Once we find out the person, then the thing will be found out is whether the person is alone, at what time the person meets, at what time the person is in moving, at what time the person is stationed at home. Everything has been found. After this comes the third one, attacking a person. How do we attack a person? Do we attack a person single-handedly, manually, or through a bomb or through a gun? Similar way here also we call it as tools, or nothing but we call it as exploits. Sorry, we call it as payloads. So what kind of payloads we have to use it out as per the vulnerability, because we can't use every payloads for every vulnerability. Then the last step would be exploiting. Now let's follow the same procedure in hacking this server called, the server's name is Sunset. So what is the very first step which we need to do? Can anyone tell me? What is the first step to do in order to? Yes, it is information gathering. We have to find out the IP, protocol, and port. So now the methodology comes is we are using OWASP standards or any kind of standards. We should use the standard tools. So I am using now a tool called Kali Linux. Sorry, I'm using a operating system. It's not a tool. So in Kali Linux, let me log in. So I hope all of you are aware of Kali Linux. Should I tell you about Kali Linux? Any one of you, please just raise your hands if I need to tell, or else I'll just skip that. What is Kali Linux? I hope all of you are aware, or most of the other speakers also would have covered it out. Yes, okay. Those who are not aware of Kali Linux is nothing but an operating system, just like how we use Windows, Linux and all. It's a Linux-based operating system itself. So what is the advantage of using this operating system? Is it mandatory to use this? Not mandatory, but the advantage is it has inbuilt tools and scripts which can be just used by drag and drop, normal drag and drop. For example, if you go to this applications at the left hand side corner, for example, for information gathering, there are more than 10 tools. For example, DNS analysis, IDS, IPS identification, live host identification, all of this. Vulnerability analysis, there is plenty of tools. For web application analysis, there are plenty of tools. For database attacks, there is tools. For password attacks, there is tools. Wireless attacks, there is tools. So around 14 categories, more than 100 plus tools within 3 GB operating system. You can get this facility here. So can't we do the same thing in other operating system? Definitely we can do it. It may be Ubuntu or any kind of Linux. But the only thing is you will have to keep on installing every repositories for it, because it's not inbuilt with this. So if you keep on installing it out, what will happen is your space will increase and your time will be, it is time consuming. Here, it will not consume any time. You can directly just do drag and drop. For example, now I'm just doing a drag and drop on for information gathering. So I'm using a tool called Net Discover. So the very first thing is Net Discover. What does this Net Discover do is, first thing is, here we need to have complete notes, or else we will miss the track, because at every stage you'll have some hints. It is just like a treasure hunt activity. If you don't have your notes, what you have done in the previous step, you'll not know how to proceed further. So always in every step, there are 5 things which you need to include. First thing will be objective. Then it will be tools. Then it will be methodology. Then the main thing POC, which we say proof of concept, which is nothing but photographs or screenshot. Then the last thing will be conclusion. So this method has to be followed at every stage. It is just like the flow chart how we follow. So now the objective will be always in information gathering to find the IP protocol port, either all together or one by one. So as of now, what we will do is we will do one by one. So only IP I want to do it. So for IP, my objective will be finding the IP of Sunset. Similar way, now the tools. So I am using a tool called Net Discover, which is inbuilt in Kali. Then comes methodology. So methodology is a scanning. Then comes POC, where we have to take the photograph. For example, now I'm entering Net Discover command and I'm just clicking enter. So what does this Net Discover do is, since I'm in the same network, it will scan the network and give me the list of IP addresses and MAC IDs which are in the same network. For example, in your college, how do you identify a outsider compared to an insider? Can anyone tell me how do we do that? In your college, for example, how do you identify an outsider? I'm trying to zoom it out, but I'm unable to do it since it's a command prompt terminal and I'm running it in a virtual box. So yeah, most of you have answered IP ID cards. So here also the ID is nothing but MAC ID and IP addresses. So we'll have to map and check it out. So if I click on Net Discover, so this is how it will scan and tell me. It may take some couple of seconds to minutes. So IP, MAC address. So you'll have to see which is that MAC address, which is that IP. So now I have found out in my network, basically, I have 3 devices. One is my mobile, one is the Sunset machine, and one more is my actual host machine. So now I'll have to connect to one by one and check it out. So the first one itself, 192.168.1.38. So now is my objective achieved? We'll have to check it out. So as per the methodology, we have to say, now did I get the IP address? What was my objective? Is my objective achieved according to this? Can anyone tell me? And tell me how is it achieved or is it not achieved? So yes, it is actually achieved because I've got my IP address there. So now actual objective, now we have to go to the next objective. Once I get the IP, find the port and protocol. So we can say it as, this is my next objective. So how do I do that? Again, I'll have to use a different tool. Not every tools for every vulnerabilities. So I'm using a tool called now Nmap. So Nmap space, now Nmap is a tool. We can consider just like how a doctor has a doctor kit. In a doctor kit, so it can do multiple things. There will be thermometer, there will be sphygmomanometer, there will be BP checking machines, all of this. Similar way, Nmap has around 20 to 25 types of scans which can be done on a network. If you go to just Google and enter Nmap cheat sheet. The very first thing, if you just click on it, you'll have Nmap cheat sheet, which means what kind of scanning it can do and what kind of information you can gather it out. Usually this has to be a tip of your tongue when you are doing penetration testing. So many tools. Now among this, you will have to choose which is the tool. So which is the scan which you are going to do. So I am doing one of the scan called Nmap aggressive scan. So what do we mean by Nmap aggressive scan is, usually a website or a protocol, how many ports will it have? I think those who are handling network subjects, computer networks or network security, you'll have to answer this fundamental question. How many total number of ports are available? Yes, exactly. It is 65,535 there. If you are including 0, yes, it is 65,536. So now Nmap aggressive scan, since if you are doing on all the ports, it will take a lot of time. So Nmap aggressive scan is, it will scan the first 1,000 ports only, and it will give you some of the open ports among it and which protocol it runs on it. So let us first try with aggressive scan, because time is always crucial in penetration testing. If you don't find anything in that, then you can go into all ports. So it is nmap space -a, the IP address. So here it is 192.168.1.38. So it will scan and it will tell me how many ports are open and what are the protocols. So I've got some information. So can anyone tell me, on the highlighted portion, how many ports are open and what are the protocols running on each port? There is no HTTP at all, sir. Where is HTTP in this? So I'm unable to zoom it out, but if you can see here, if you can zoom yourself in the screen, because I'm looking into even another device and telling it out. If you can zoom it from yourself, you can tell me. So how many ports are open and what are the services running on it? Yes, the port, how many total number of ports? Total number of ports. Please look it cautiously and tell me. Only the highlighted portion you can check. Yes, there are 2 ports open. How do you believe that there are only 2 ports open? There might be more number of ports because we have scanned 1000 ports. Yes, it is clearly mentioned there. 998 is closed. So, which means there are 2 ports open. That is port 21 and port 22. Now, which is the protocol which is running on this port? The service is always protocol. So, which is the service? Yes, it is FTP and SSH. So now we got some information because we didn't have any information. So we got the at least information which we had to get it out. That is information gathering objective is achieved completely. Now we can get into the next one. That is vulnerability analysis. Now vulnerability is port 21 and port 22. We should see whether either we have to do FTP hacking or SSH hacking. Nothing more than that. So among these two, assuming that you have only one attempt with you, so which one will you choose? Either FTP or SSH. Go through it out. You have some hints in it out also. Which one will you choose? Either FTP or SSH. Why FTP? Please state the reason also. There are hints which is given. What is that hint which is given in that information? As I said, this is just like treasure hunt activity. SSH is secure. How do we say that it is secure? Yes, someone mentioned anonymous login allowed in FTP. That is the hint. FTP usually UDP, sir, these kind of things don't believe it out because what is in theory will not will theory to practical will have a lot of deviation. So here the hint is FTP has something called anonymous login which is allowed, and under it it is telling that there is a folder called root and a file called backup. Usually root folder by default will always mean credentials. So our ultimate objective is to get the credentials of the server machine. So here if you have 2 attempts, you can have attack on both the things, SSH and FTP. If you don't have, then here you have to look into it. The educational guest should be based on the information gathered. So once this is done, the next thing what we need to do is access FTP. So how do we access FTP? Very simple. Enter the same thing, FTP, and the same IP address. FTP space 192.168.1.38. So it is asking me a username. The hint was anonymous login allowed. So enter it as anonymous. Password will be password. Just click enter. So it says login is successful. Now once I have entered into the system, what will be my first thing? What is my objective based on the hint? What was the another hint which was there? Can anyone tell me what was the another hint? The root folder. Yes. So we'll have to try accessing the root folder. So first we have to check whether the root folder exists. So we have to list all the files. Enter the command ls. So it says that there is a folder called root and there is a file called backup. So since you're in FTP, the property of FTP is you cannot open the file inside FTP. So you'll have to take a copy of it. So what I'll do is I'll take a copy of it. How do I take a copy? Get space the file name. So what is the file name here? Can anyone tell me? Get space the file name. What is the file name here? Backup. Exactly. So enter the command backup. So the file is transferred. Come outside of FTP and just view the particular file. So how do you view the file in Linux? Very simple. What is the command which we use? That is for viewing all the files. How do you open a file? ls is for viewing all the files in the system. Yes, it is cat. So cat space the file name. So here it will be cat space backup. So here it is credentials. So I have around 5 usernames and credentials. Which one will I choose among this? Sunset, because the username of the server is Sunset, but the passwords are all encrypted or hashed. So you'll have to decrypt it. So I'll give you this task as your homework task, and I'll name the tool also, which is the tool which you can decrypt. The tool which we use for decryption is known as John the Ripper, which is again an inbuilt tool in Kali Linux. So you can use the tool, you can use this hash and decrypt it. You'll get a password that will be the actual credentials. So this will be your way of actually penetration testing. Any doubts on this? Please let me know. If you want me to repeat any part or anything. This is the actual way of pen testing. So once you get that password, if you just come here directly and enter the username and password, you'll get the access. Name of the tool decryption, it is known as John the Ripper. John the Ripper, which is inbuilt in Kali Linux. For example, if you just go to this applications, go to password attacks, here you have John, the tool name. You can use this particular tool and decrypt it out. So this will be actual the way of pen testing. Any doubts on this? Now, similar way, this is practicing is only known as CTF, capture the flag, which means pre-configured labs. Even for your students or even for any beginner, even if you are a beginner also, I'll give you a roadmap on how to do this. The very first thing is there are 3 platforms which you need to be aware of. The very first thing is known as Try Hack Me. This is the platform. Some of you might know it out. So in Try Hack Me, there are free and as well as paid courses. First, complete the free courses. Then once you do this, you can come to if you want to learn web exclusively, you can come to a website called PortSwigger. So once you come to PortSwigger website, there is completely course on web vulnerabilities, everything. After this, you can download the machines as I shown. We call this as virtual machines. pre-configured web vulnerable machine in a website called Vulnub, that is Vulnerability Hub. You can download it depending on every technology you have it out, AI, ML, cloud, web, Android, iOS, anything, you'll get it out. Post this, nowadays for security job roles to guide your students, or even if you are looking for a career switch and all, so usually we will ask, just like how you have GitHub profile link or LinkedIn profile link, so we will ask you to give you one link, which is nothing but a platform called Hack the Box. This is not a free one, this is a paid one, around $100 to $150, nearly 9 to 10K per year it will be. So here, how many machines you have completed, we will see that, and we will evaluate whether the person knows practical skill sets or not to be a professional. We will get to know it out very easily here. This is on the roadmap to say it out. Similar way, there are again other platforms in a beginner perspective which you have to see, which we call it as DVWA. One of the platform is, which means damn vulnerable web application. For example, once you know, it is very easy to set it up. Once you set it up, this will be the setup. Here at the left hand side, you can see all these kind of attacks can be performed. For example, let me show you. Here you have again levels as vulnerabilities. I said low, medium, high, impossible. How do you utilize this platform? For example, I'll click on low and submit. Here pre-configured vulnerable websites are integrated. For example, I'll go to SQL injection. I think most of you are aware of SQL injection. Can anyone tell me what is SQL injection?
Malicious code can be injected through the database, sir.
Yes, exactly. So now I'm just entering a malicious code. Before that, I'll just try entering my name and see what is the response I get. Once I click on that, I have no response here. But if I put a malicious code which is not sanitized in the database, it will give me the list of usernames and passwords. So here is the list of users which has been given. This is known as SQL injection in the low category. If you go down, you can have the source code also. If you click on view, here it shows what is that low vulnerability which has been configured with the code. Now the same thing you can see in low, which I did. I'll go and change the DVW security settings to medium and click on submit. And now I go to SQL injection. Just see what is it. Can I do SQL injection? Not at all, because security is implemented here now. So similar way, low to medium to high to impossible. You can check in the view source for these attacks. All of this is nothing but OWASP itself. But there are only 16 attacks. So 16 into 4 types, low, medium, high and critical. 16 into 4 will be 64 kind of attacks which you can practice, completely open source. So now let me show you a sample report, how it will be. For example, this is a sample report, which includes what is the IP. If it has all the DNS, you should mention the DNS name, the host name. Then comes vulnerability list with its severity, low, medium, information, high and up. How much is exploitable in this? That is the major thing again. Then for each one of this, we have to mention severity, description, impact, solution, mitigation again. Then there will be another column called POC with a screenshot, how to reproduce it. This will be a sample report of a web vulnerable pen testing. Yes. Any doubts you can ask me from the beginning of the session. You can unmute yourself or even enter it in the chat section. Or if you want me to, any other demo also to show, please let me know. Anything to repeat it. So this was a brief idea on web vulnerabilities. You can unmute yourself or enter it in the chat section also.
So, good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir. Please tell me, sir.
This is Dr. Balsam speaking. A very nice presentation, sir. I have one doubt. What are the present challenges in establishing the security, sir? So there are so many tools that come, but still, what are the challenges, sir?
The challenges is because the number of attacks which can happen due to the AI emerging, sir. Because many people now, since it was done by 2 to 3 people or 4 people, they were attacking one website. Now what they are doing is the same person will attack with 100 different names, automated.
Oh,
It is
oh my goodness! Multiple attacks at the same time.
multiple attacks. So we'll have to almost do the filtering will be very tough for us. The tools and
Oh,
manually we have to check the vulnerabilities whether it is genuine or not, whether certificates are genuine, all of this. But even we are also using the same AI methods itself, basically to
okay,
automated methods to secure it out. The
okay, sir.
challenge is proper procedure which has to be implemented with a process.
Okay,
After building
yeah,
secure compound, no one can attack. But if you build a building where no place of compound is given, after that, if
oh,
you are looking for to build a compound, it will be very tough.
okay. I got it, sir. That means all the antivirus software should be having all this capability, right, sir?
Yes, sir. Firewall we say usually. For web, we will have usually something called web application firewall, WAF. We
Okay,
call
sir.
it out.
Okay.
That has to be
Okay,
implemented
sir.
properly, sir.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
So good afternoon. This is Kanimari. Actually, the session is very informative.
Thank you, ma'am.
Sir,
Thank you.
for network analyzing, we are using Wireshark tool
Yes, ma'am.
for packet capturing and all. In this, how can we identify whether how the vulnerabilities are there and all?
Yes, sir. For
Uh,
as I said, one is Nessus tool which we use. One more,
okay.
the tool standard tool is known as Burp Suite. BURPSUIT. Let me show you.
Yes.
Yes, sir. I mean, by the time it's loading, if others have any other question, please go on. So once it's loaded, I'll be just showing you a small feature of this, just like Wireshark, how we can capture the request and response and all. Within that time frame, if anybody has any other doubts, you can unmute yourself or enter it in the chat section. So, ma'am, as you can see here, this is the dashboard of the tool called Burp Suite. So here you can go to the column called Target here. In Target, you'll have to open a new browser. What basically this particular tool does is, it will act as a interceptor between the source and destination. It will listen to the traffic. Let me show you an example. For example, this is a browser. Now I enter www.google.com. So what happens is, here if you can see now, google.com is loaded here. Now here I have an option called proxy, and interceptor is an option here. I keep the intercept on. Now I go and just refresh the page. Once I refresh the page, my entire packet, that is the response, is captured here. For example, if I would have entered username and password, my username and password would have been captured here. It would have not gone to destination. So with this, I have lot of features where I can do analysis. This is how, just like similar how we have Wireshark for network. Here, this is one of the excellent tool which we use it for web. That is Burp Suite.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Yes. Any other questions or queries? Please let me know, which I can address. The presentations is already shared, so probably Anil sir will be sharing it to you, all of you.
Hello, sir.
Sir, I have one more doubt, sir.
Sir, nice topic. The developers who are developing web applications might be following these techniques to filter or to track the attacks like that.
Yes,
Isn't
sir.
it, sir?
Yes, sir. Definitely, they will be.
Yes.
The prevention methods has to be, actually, if the developers follows this during the software development lifecycle stage, it will be very easy.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Sir, I have one more clarification, sir.
Yes, sir. Please, sir. Tell me.
Sir, is there any professional course on cyber security, sir?
Sir, cyber security, again, it is applicable to all the domains which has code and which has network communication, sir. It may be AI, ML, IoT, web, Android, iOS, everything there.
Okay.
So for a beginner perspective, you can go with something called ethical hacking.
Okay.
So everything is available in YouTube itself. You can pick any one tutorial channel. Once that is done, the very next step which we say is nothing but a web, which I said a roadmap. Those are the 3-4 websites. That would be sufficient for a beginner stage, sir.
Okay, sir. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Some mentioned whether it is available for Ubuntu, or yes, it is definitely available, sir, for Linux. Nessus is again web tool itself. It is just like accessing internet. Burp Suite, again, it can be used even in Ubuntu also. In fact, in Kali Linux, Burp Suite is inbuilt. If you just go to here, Kali Linux.
Sir, for Kali Linux, which tool can be used for password cracking, sir?
One is John, ma'am. If you
John.
go to password attack, there are
you have
plenty
shown.
of tools. Depends on which kind of encryption, which kind of hashing is being performed. We can use as per those tools.
Okay.
There.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Someone may ask me that's what, whether Burp Suite is applicable in Linux. If you can see your web analysis, Burp Suite is inbuilt tool. If you just click on it, it will be loaded. Yes. Any other queries? Any other questions? Please let me know. Mm, There are any queries you can ask me, or else probably we can conclude. Anil sir, can we conclude? Anil sir, are you here?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. I think if there are no more queries.
Yes,
I've
sir.
shared you the presentations.
Yes,
If
sir.
there
Yes.
are any more information, please let me know. Can we conclude, sir?
Sure, sir. Sure.
Sure, sir.
1 second, sir.
Sure, sir. Sure.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Samrath Bhaskar Bhat, for an inspiring and highly engaging session. It's a very practical session also and interactive all. On behalf of Scope, VIT-AP University, and all our attendees, we sincerely appreciate the time and thoughtfulness and expertise you shared with us today. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you all.
Uh, as we proceed with our program, it is my honor to welcome another distinguished professional in the realm of computer science and cybersecurity. Let me check, sir, whether SAR is there in the group or not. We will take for 10 minutes of break. The time is 3:28. Up to 3:38, we'll take short break. In meantime, SAR will join. Second guest speaker will join. Okay, thank you all. Try to be in the same link and don't leave the session. This is second one. Second session is also very informative and practical. Don't leave the session. Take a break up to 3:38. Thank you.